Okay. Can everybody should be able to hear me now? What I'm going to do, I'm going to welcome you to 5 steps to get your contest online. And it's, you know, we've been spending months on this, as you can appreciate. So many months to get this so slick and right for you. Or on the other hand, it was about 48 hours, but hey, you decide what that is. Today, Moira and I would like to welcome you. We just want to run through some more advanced settings for you so that and also about the steps involved in getting your contest online. What that will entail is 5 steps, as I said. The first step is the planning. And it's really important to do this because you can't just go and create the meeting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. And when I'm able to, I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to share a little spreadsheet that we put together. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to make this available to you through Brenda, and she will email out this particular spreadsheet. The first thing I want you to think about is I've just made a list of meetings here. Can you see that? Initial meeting, rehearsal, and then so on. And so the initial meeting is, let's just have a contest. Let's do it online. Let's get a few people together and then make some decisions. So really, you want the person who's the area director or the division director, the nominated Zoom master, the contest chair, the chief judge, and if possible, the sergeant at arms. You should be doing that between 7 and 15 days before the contest. And the way that you can, you know, what you're going to get from that is you're going to confirm what date you're going to, what date and time you're going to create the meeting for, and also the settings you're going to create for the meeting. And the actual settings and the decision to make, I'm going to run through with you shortly. Okay, but it's really important that one of the key things that comes out of this is that one person, namely the Zoom master, starts keeping a master spreadsheet so that, for example, who's doing what role, and also contact numbers for everybody as well. And then as the project goes along, you just add into that and make sure you actually have that as shared out to the relevant people. Also, part of the planning in terms of just before the contest, for example, one day before, it's like a rehearsal. So it could be something simply as, let's do a walkthrough. Let's do a walkthrough and say, right, I'm the Zoom master. I'm going to hand over to Sergeant at Arms. Sergeant at Arms is going to introduce the contest chair. Contest chair is going to open up the contest and going to start off with the contestants. Boom. And then we have 5 contestants. So assume that they've all spoken. Now what happens? Well, we wait for the judges, etc., etc. So you go through the flow and somebody will go, oh, hang on a minute. Something has got to happen here. If it's an evaluation contest, whoa, hang on. We can't just have the speaker speaking. We've got to get these people who are doing the evaluation contest out into a different room and then bring them in. So those kind of things and those kind of ideas with 3 or 4 of you, you will actually make a lot of headway very quickly. And then you'll make the decisions on who it is, what the date is, what the time, etc., etc. Now, so that's the first bit. That's the planning bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you on here. This is the area which you can actually go and create Zoom meetings. Now, the account I'm using today is our Firebirds Collective account, which is one club that Moira and I belong to. And what's really important to here is we go to the settings, and there are a number of settings over here that we need to look at. For example, host video. Does the host come on with the video on? Does participants video on? So normally I keep that as a no. Audio type, telephone and computer ID, and so on. Join before host. Now this is really interesting. What join before host does is, if before the host arrives, anybody with that link can go into that room. Now, as of today, right, this is so current, we can share this with you today. As of today, what Zoom have said is, you've got to have a password every time. So just because you got a link doesn't mean you get into the room. Okay. However, it's this particular item is a good way of securing your room. And other things down here, only authenticated users can join meetings. Now, on the meeting that we're on at the moment, on Moira's account, that actually is set on. So you need to log into your own account at Zoom and then connect to this meeting. The reason why that's really useful is that, first of all, you know that that person is a registered user, but also it means that we can see what their account details are on screen as well, and the name and so on. And that's really important. Now, if I go further down, require a password, and there it is, there's a password. And on here, embed password in meeting link for one-click join. You could, for example, create a link to send out by email where somebody clicks on it and then it joins automatically. All right. This is a really important setting. Mute participants on entry. When somebody goes into the room, you don't want them to have their mic open because somebody could be speaking. However, that's for the meetings. In the contest, for example, we ran a contest this morning. What I did was I locked the room. As the speakers were speaking, I made sure that nobody could enter the room and disturb the rest of the audience. I'm going to go further down. Feedback on Zoom. One thing for your meetings, folks, co-host. Make sure that this is ticked on, because then the host can have any number of co-hosts to help them. And one really important thing here, show Zoom windows during screen share. Basically, I don't know whether you remember the session I did last week, and part of it was showing my screen and the settings I had. And in fact, Moira just did hers a minute ago. And if this is on, then the person sharing the screen can actually show their Zoom window, which previously wasn't available. For contests, this is really important. Now, as this is a club, we've got club meetings going on, we allow all participants to share programs. Whereas, to be honest with you, in the contest, you only want the host. Okay? Other items on here, let's have a look. Breakout room, yes. Turn it on, and also allow the host to assign participants to breakout rooms when scheduling. So in theory, you can actually do a lot of scheduling beforehand, but in practice, what Moira is going to do later on is to show you how to create them on the day. I believe that's all the settings we need to do on here. A waiting room can be really important, like we have today, because we can stop people coming in and we can admit one at a time. You may not want the general public in first before your contest starts. And let's have a look. Okay, that's it. Now, I'm very quickly going to create a meeting for you. So I'm going to go to the meetings page, schedule a new meeting, and here I'm going to type in my D71 test meeting. And obviously here you can, well, right, obviously here we can put in whatever other notes we wish to put in. What date is going to be? Well, this one is going to be, if I can come here, on Monday the 6th at 8 p.m. The duration is going to be 4 hours. What time zone is going to be? It's going to be London time. This is really, really important, folks. I would recommend that you use the registration process. So make it required. If you do not do this now, after you create the meeting, you can't go back and tick it. Once it's done, it's done. You'd have to create a brand new meeting. Meeting ID, don't use your personal meeting ID. Always generate a different number automatically. It's got the meeting password in there, that's fine. Video and participant host off. And so some of these are common. These are really, really important. Enable join before host. I explained that earlier. Mute participants. I explained that earlier. And waiting room. Only authenticated users. Again, we looked at that. And also one, if you wanted to, you can say record the meeting automatically. As soon as a meeting starts, it will start recording. Now, I'm not going to put that on there. I'm going to say save. And can you see on here, what I can do is I can actually go, and I've got the details on here. I can actually add to my Google Calendar. I've got the meeting ID there. There you go. 666. I don't know what number that is for, but I was a bit scary. So you've got 666, and you've got the registration URL. Now this is really important, okay? Because that is the link that you can send to people to go and register. So in order to register for today's meeting, you got sent by email a link like this. And what we did was, for example, if I can show you Google Calendar, it opens up a new tab, pick the account. Well, okay. And can you see on the left-hand side here, what you can do is you could actually go and share this, copy and paste it, or invite attendees from here, and all the information you need. Oh, sorry. Let me just go back. Right. Can you see on the right-hand side here? Copy the invitation. It was hidden by the windows. There you go. Copy meeting invitation. So I'm going to copy it. And I don't know whether you recognize it, but this is similar to what you got by email the other day. And then you can send it off to whoever you want to, but they will only get the Zoom ID and the link to connect if they go through this registration process. Okay? So that's basically what we've done is we've actually done the planning of what we're going to do, how we're going to do it. We then set into place the action of the actually just basically inviting everybody. All right. Now, one of the other things that we want to look at over here is everything up to the day. So you've got to make sure that, for example, you gather the team, you use a pro Zoom account, you configure the settings in Zoom, okay? And what you do is you then say, you change the settings on here. So those are the things that we've done, and these are the meetings that we've took place. So what we've done is we've done two steps there, planning and prepare. Now, in terms of the next step, the third step is test, test, test. You keep on testing. Send it to yourself, send it to some friends. Are they able to register, yes or no? And make sure that you're comfortable with that link that you've sent out. And then you can send it to 4,500 people in District 71. And that's what we did. We tested it, and then Brenda sent it out. Now, the last two steps, Moira is going to cover. And then at the end of her bit, there is going to be time for question and answers. I'm going to hand over to Moira. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nick. Let's start my video. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to look at some important things for managing your meeting. So I'm going to share my screen if I can. Let me organize myself here. And we're going to run through the steps that you need to do. I just need to clean up my screen. Just bear with me a second so you don't see everything. Okay. Right, because I have to share my desktop. Right. Okay, so you now should be able to see my screen. Can you all give me a thumbs up if you can see the screen? Yeah, I see a few thumbs up. That's good. Okay, now only the host, the designated host, not the co-host, only the host can do this. You'll see down here, breakout rooms. So that is one very important part. But before we go into breakout rooms, I want to show you a useful thing for organizing your participants. If you see on the list of participants, it's in alphabetical order. So to find a particular person when you've got, well, we have 63 people in the room at the moment, that can be quite a pain. It's going to take a bit of time. So what we do is, let's say Gerard Fenner is a speaker. So I'm going to rename, and I'm going to put, for speakers, I'm going to put a plus sign and the word speaker. The plus sign means that he's going to go to the top of the alphabetical list, and the plus sign tells me it's a speaker. And let's say the next person is an evaluator. So I rename her or him with an underscore evaluator. So now I can identify those two people immediately. We also do the same thing with all the other people involved in the contest. So we've got speakers, we've got a chief judge. Now you can do this however you want, but what we do is put a hash sign and CJ for chief judge. Oops, I don't know what happened there. CJ, chief judge, and you can spell it out in full if you want. Let's take Dave Ryan, and we'll make him contest chair. Hash CC for contest chair. And we'll take somebody from down here. Tralee Toastmasters. Tralee Toastmasters can be let's say a counter. Counter. You get the idea. I didn't really need to go through every single person. But what that means is when I go to create the breakout rooms, I can quickly identify all those particular people and what their function is. So I'm now going to click on breakout rooms, and I'm going to set up the breakout rooms. So first of all, I don't want to put all participants into a room. We might do that later just to give everybody the idea of going into a room, but we'll start off with doing it manually. And yes?
My apologies. Are you able to maximize your window, please?
No, you can maximize it.
No, we're seeing more of your desktop.
Oh, I see.
Are you sharing your desktop? Yeah, I don't know whether you can do that.
No, I can't share just that particular bit, unfortunately.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
If it was a non-Zoom thing, I could. But Zoom things, I'm afraid I'm limited. I can't share it anymore. So I don't want 15 rooms. I only want to have 4 rooms, probably. So it doesn't matter how many participants per room. That's not important. Click Create Breakout Rooms. Okay, now I have 4 breakout rooms, but I have nobody in them. I want to check on the options, and I want to untick Move all participants into breakout rooms automatically, because that will literally take everybody, divide the whole population here into 4, which will be about 21 people in each room. If you like, we can do that just to demonstrate it. But I will, when I've done that, I will stop it and bring you all back. So I'm going to put you in those rooms now, if I can. No, I can't. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, we won't bother with that. To be honest with you, it's irrelevant. Now, the next thing which you want to think about is allow participants to return to the main session at any time. There's 2 thoughts about this. If you tick that, then anybody in a breakout room can return to the main screen at their choice. This can be a problem if you have somebody who is not obeying the rules. For example, if you have an evaluation contestant in a breakout room waiting for their turn and they leave the room before it's their turn, then that can disqualify that individual from competing. So what will happen if I don't tick that? If I don't tick that box, then when somebody leaves the room, they actually leave the meeting as well. And they will then have to click to return, to rejoin the meeting as if they were starting from scratch. Now, as you have the waiting room enabled, what will happen is they will come up on the top of the list in the waiting room, and then the Zoom master can hold them in there until such time as it is the right time to bring them back into the room. So that is a useful way of controlling if you think there might be a problem with participants not following the rules. But for the moment, we'll allow participants to return to the main session at any time. And that's all I'm going to tick in the options. But what I'm now going to do is I'm going to go and assign people into my room. So first of all, we'll call this the judges room. We'll call this the speakers or contestants. Contestants. We won't bother with anything more than that for the moment. But now you'll see when I click on assign, I have all my participants at the top of the screen. So now I can take my chief judge and tick to put in the judges room, and I can put, let's say the, well, I haven't done other things, but I'm just going to tick people randomly. And then in the contestants room, I'm going to put the contest chair and the speaker, and we'll pick a few others who will be speakers. Now, that enables the judge to do the briefing for the role holders and the chief, the contest chair to do the briefing for the speakers. So when I click open all rooms, all these people will get an invitation to join the room. They have to accept that invitation in order to do that. So if I click open all rooms now, the people whom I've put in here should now be seeing an invitation to go to the room.
Right.
And I
can put me in one of the rooms as well, please, Moira.
Yeah. Okay, join. No, hold on, where are you? Nick. Okay, assigned to judges room. Okay.
Thank you.
Now, I can see here people who haven't joined. So I can see that Gerard Fenner has now, he's joined the room. But Adrian Harney and Alando Bata, Alando's just joined, Adrian Harney is going to join. So that's it. And then if the rooms are completely finished, then I can say close all rooms, and everybody will now come back into the main room. So we'll see them coming in one by one. So you have two stages of this. The first stage is the briefing before the meeting starts. And the very first thing is to rename all your contestants and role holders so that you can identify them quickly, and set the meeting rooms up so that as soon as you're ready to go with the briefings, you can open the rooms and the relevant people will be put into the relevant rooms for the briefing. Now, with the evaluation contest or a table topics contest, then there will be a further step before that contest starts, or shall we say after the target speaker in an evaluation contest has done his bit. You then put the evaluation contestants into a separate room with the Sergeant at Arms, and the Sergeant at Arms will then be in contact with one of the hosts who will tell the Sergeant at Arms when to advise the member to come, the contestant to come back into the main room. And if you've allowed them to leave the rooms on their own, then they will come straight back into the main room. So it's important that is not done too early. With a table topics session, then it's merely a matter of the same situation, but you don't have the target speaker, etc., obviously, at the beginning. But it will be the same business of bringing them back in one by one. I think that's all on my list. I'm just checking. Yeah, that's it. So I can hand you back to Nick now.
Thank you very much, Moira. Thank you. And I think Moira's just going to stop sharing shortly. Thank you. Now, what we did was we went through 5 steps. So, plan, prepare, test, and the 4th one that Moira just went through was the management. Manage the rooms, manage the people, manage the flow of the meeting. And the 5th one, I don't know if anybody can guess this. At the end of it, review it. Review what happened, review what worked, review what didn't. What could you have done to make it better? Document it and make sure that the contest chair and the Zoom master and the chief judge next time look at that information so that your club or your division or your area or your division can do an even better job next time round. Like with any plan, you should look back at the end of it and then see what went, see what worked and then go with it. So 5 steps: plan, prepare, test, manage, and then review. And 5 easy steps. Now, we're going to open up the floor for questions. What I'd like you to do is just, if we can just raise your hand and then I'll ask, we'll call upon you. Okay, so, okay, hang on. Right. Hilda Murphy? Go ahead. Yep, I've unmuted you.
Yes, thank you, Nick, and thank you for the presentation, yourself and Moira. I just have a question about, you said that you can lock the room.
Yes.
At the beginning, and I just wondered how you can do that.
Okay, what I'll do is I will endeavor to show you shortly, okay? Hang on just one sec. Thank you. What I'm going to do, I'm going to share my screen and, okay, Moira, would you like to demonstrate that to lock?
Oh, I was reading messages.
Okay.
I've got a couple of questions come through. So what do you want to do to lock the room?
Yeah, if you go to the participants window and then under more, it's got options in there, and one of them is to lock the room. I'll show you.
I'll share the screen.
Yeah. Please.
I'm sharing my second screen, which would have been slightly better. You can see a bit more of it. So down the bottom of the screen, there's a more button. This is the participant screen. The more button, click on the more button, and there you can lock the meeting. So now no attendees can come in whilst the meeting is locked. I guess the way, if you're doing this properly, you should do it. Now you see somebody has just come in, they're in the waiting room. I need to admit them. But obviously I'm not going to admit them until such time as I'd better unlock the meeting now so that he can come back in, unlock the meeting. Right. You could lock the meeting during the speeches, and then once a speech is finished, you can unlock and then lock again when the next speech starts. So that would be one way of doing it.
Actually, really interesting point came up today that we locked the meeting and then one of the participants, one of the evaluators got lost from the evaluation room into the main room. So basically had to come out and reboot their machine. And then they came back so therefore I had to unlock the room to allow them back in, and then they were able to go and deliver their evaluation. Okay, so any more hands, please? Any more questions?
There are a couple of questions, if I can
Okay, go ahead.
pass them on. From Nigel Walsall, UK. Can you assign the people to the rooms before they've joined the meeting, or does this have to be set up once everyone is there? The answer to that, Nigel, is yes, you can do that. I've not tried it, but you do have all the information you need because everybody has registered, and therefore you know their screen name and their email address, which I guess you're going to need in order to pre-assign them.
The difficulty with that, though, is if somebody uses their Zoom account, which is used under a different email address, and then that becomes difficult.
No, they wouldn't be allowed in then because it's only the registered address that they'll be allowed in.
What I found is that if you've got 200 people and you've got sort of 10, 12, 15 contestants or whatever it is, you can just do what Moira did just there, do it on the fly. Because we've renamed them, it's easy to pick the people and send them away.
Yeah. Okay, next question comes from Judy Mallinson. If you identify the judges when you name participants, will that show all attendees who they are? Very good question. We don't identify the judges at all. End of. But there is an issue that if you put the judges into a room, then people do see names disappearing and reappearing. So maybe you brief your judges outside of the meeting, let's say on a WhatsApp group or in a separate Zoom account.
Actually, for the contest, my contest area contest last week, we actually had the briefings for the judges and the speakers and the other functionaries 24 hours before the contest. And also another option, which again, we were managing a contest this morning. One of the options that they could have done, which I suggested, was to get the judges into a different Zoom room, get them out of the way so they don't come into the main room at all. And then when they come in, nobody's the wiser.
Yeah. But Zoom room, a different Zoom meeting.
A different Zoom meeting altogether. So they don't see this person until 9:30, which is and they've already had the briefing, and they do not disappear unless there's some sort of protest.
Okay, next question from Vincent Delaney. How do you collect the scores? Nick, do you want to take that?
Yeah, absolutely. In my, you can be as officious as you want, or you can be as flexible as you want. In my world, you do it by WhatsApp. The fact that you sent a message saying, first person, Joanna, second person, Bill, third person, Caroline, fourth person, Carl. You can actually put them, 1, 2, 3 order for judges, and the tiebreaker judge will send all of them. You send that to either, designated as the chief judge. Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that they've pressed send, to me, that means that's signed, because we're not sending it via Royal Mail. It's actually done with a piece of software that actually sends something end to end, and it gets to you within seconds. Now, for example, contests that we've done in the past, we've had 5 to 10 minutes after the last speaker has spoken before ballots have been fully collected in, but that was because perhaps they were judges were asked to fill in the forms, sign it, date it, scan it, email it, all that kind of stuff, and then the email gets stuck somewhere or in the spam box and so on. I don't see a point. Just use WhatsApp. It works.
Okay, next question. Where can I find the red hand up button? Okay, at the bottom of your main screen, let me share my screen again. Share desktop 1. Okay, down here on the far right of the toolbar at the bottom, you'll see reactions. If you click on that, you have got a plus. You've got an applause and a thumbs up. If you then go to the participants, my participants gone, they've vanished. I closed them instead of opening them again. Then down the bottom, you have rather more. You have yes, no, go slower, go faster, more, which is your, and clear all. If you, I'm not sure where you put the hand up, or is it just a hand? Yeah, hand up, that's it, yeah. Okay, Dave, Dave Ryan there has his hand up. That was a mute.
Yeah. However, to be honest, folks, none of those items should be used in a contest anyway.
No, indeed, indeed.
Right.
Okay.
So somebody, David Ryan had a question.
Dave Ryan. Well, I'm going through the questions in the chat, if you don't mind, so we don't miss anybody. Now, there's Philip O'Brien has made a comment here, which is a very valid one, and some people do that. For a contest I was judged at, we removed our photos and changed our Zoom names to Judge A, Judge B, etc., and never turned their video on. That is another way of doing it. That does maintain the judge anonymity.
Yeah, okay. My job as I see it right now is to help you translate an on-site, i.e. physical contest, into an online contest. Now, are you telling me that you've never been to a club contest, an area contest, or a division contest where you didn't know who the judges were? Because, I'm sorry, but you did. If you look around you, you did. So in my mind, the way I ran my contest last week was let the judges just be normal audience. We had the briefings and everything beforehand. We got it all sorted. Nobody knew that so-and-so was a judge. And they had a great time. And, they keep the screens open, and then they were able to take in, with the applause at the end and all this kind of stuff. This is about the main focus here is about not only being able to carry out the contest, but celebrating the fact that we can do a contest and giving somebody applause at the end. And I wouldn't like to see J1 to J6 at the bottom not being able to actually just give somebody a round of applause.
Okay, next question. Damien Loftus, can you not receive scores via the private chat function in Zoom? Yes, you can. There is one issue for that, and it's something that I have fallen into more than once, and that is you put a message into the chat, you click send, and then you realize that you've sent it to everybody, or you've sent it to the wrong person because they happen to be the last person who sent you a message. It's dangerous.
A previous contest where the ballot counters had difficulty because we allowed people to say congratulations, well done speakers, and so on. They actually couldn't find the relevant private chats easily from each of the judges. So that's why, in the past, I've been chief judge, I think 4 or 5 times online. 4 times I've used WhatsApp, worked a treat, does the job. People were happy, and it took, in fact, it should take anything between 7 to 15 minutes to come back with a result, max.
Okay, Martin Farrell, I'm unmuting you. Would you like to give your questions?
Thanks, Myra. I have a number of questions written down. Will I do them one by one, and then we can just, they're all quickies.
Okay.
Firstly, just ask Nick, and thanks again to both of you, an excellent presentation. You mentioned about needing a password. Do you have to have a password for a meeting?
Okay, if I can answer that. This is recommended for the security purposes. If you don't have a password, then anybody with the number can get access.
And that actually changed today. As of today, you will need a password.
It's no longer optional.
Zoom made a change today on the security of their platform.
Yeah, I thought you said that. So if I was setting up a meeting, you'd send the link, and then when the person opens it, they have to put in the password.
Yes.
Correct. Thanks. Nick, one for you again, Nick. You mentioned about the register. I know we all had to register for today, but if I was holding a club contest that's only open to all my members, do I need to have the register? Do I need them to register, or can I just invite them and let them come in so long as they're there before the time?
Very good question. And that little tick box where I said registration required, if you don't tick it, you can just send them the Zoom link with the relevant details. That little bit on the calendar that I showed you. Okay. You can just send them that.
The answer really, Martin, is that it's an extra layer of security. Bear in mind that Zoom has become so popular now worldwide, and a lot of people are apparently having to fend off hackers and spammers, and the adult link people. Okay. And so basically, if you have registration and password, that is as secure as you can get. It's going to be very difficult for anybody who doesn't have, who's not been invited, or doesn't have the password, and doesn't have the password to get in.
Okay, I'm going to keep going. I'm sorry if I have too many questions. Nick, you did not tick the host and the participant. You left it off. Was there a reason? I would always put them on. Was there a reason why you left them as off?
Oh, the video.
Yeah.
Okay, so the way I run the contest is that Toastmasters International sent an edict out saying that not only must the mics be off, but the videos must be off as well for everybody apart from the timers and the speaker. So if, for example, if I didn't lock the room and somebody comes in, I don't want them to have the video on. That's it. That's the reason.
And do you have to put them on individually then for the speakers?
No, each person can put their video on afterwards.
Oh, I get you.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm back to you, Mara.
Okay.
Now, you mentioned about the host will communicate with the Sergeant at Arms.
Yes.
Evaluation contest.
Yes.
How is that done?
Through WhatsApp or through a messaging service of your choice outside of the meeting. You can't easily do messaging from the main room to the to the breakout rooms. So the easiest way and the safest way is to do it either through WhatsApp or by phone or by email or by Facebook Messenger, whatever is the best thing for yourself and your participants.
Okay, just two left. You mentioned, Myra, that the contestants would return themselves. How would they do that?
They click the button that says leave.
In the bottom right hand corner, when you go to I know we've only had some of you go into the breakout rooms. It may be afterwards, maybe Moira can send everybody, I don't know.
Yeah.
But if you go on the bottom right hand corner at the moment, you can see leave meeting. Well, it's a similar button, click on it, and then you can choose. Do you want to leave the whole meeting or do you want to go back to the main session? So you click on go back to the main session.
And a final question, and let someone else in. I'm so sorry about this. Nick, you mentioned about using the WhatsApp for the scores, and I was going to ask about using the chat, and you answered that perfectly, Myra. So, Nick, using the WhatsApp, would you just put in candidate's name 1, another candidate 2, another 3, or would you take a photograph of the ballot page?
Again, that's up to you.
It's up to the chief judge and what they're happy with. I know I have been happy as a chief judge to get in text 1, the name, 2, the name, and 3, the name. That's it.
Thank you so much. Sorry for so many questions. I hope they were useful for everyone else.
Okay, now a few people have been asking about how to deal with the timer issue. Now, I've just put a video up to YouTube yesterday showing you how to use virtual backgrounds. Unfortunately, for some reason or other, I can't access my virtual backgrounds. Something has gone wrong. I probably need to restart the program to get it back. So I can't actually show you
with the virtual background here. Is Asil here?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No, she's not.
I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah.
Marissa, sorry.
You can.
So
yep. Can you demonstrate your virtual backgrounds? First of all, I'll put the link to my video in the chat so everybody can access it. But Asil can demonstrate the how well what can be done and what I'm demonstrating, what I'm showing you in the video.
Okay. If you go to stop video and you see this arrow, if you click on it, choose virtual background. Should I share my screen?
Yes, you can.
Maybe I can share my screen. Can you see my screen? Okay, so you go to arrow here and choose virtual background. And you see here lots of pictures that I uploaded from here. So you can add image or add video. So I have these 3 colors I'm using for showing time. So green at minimum, and then yellow target time, and red maximum time. So is it clear, Moira?
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's great.
Now the video that I'm going to
Asil.
the video I'm going to share.
Can I show video? I can show video. So
Yeah.
I have video. Oh, no, not here. Sorry.
Well, I think we'll do this offline if you don't mind. I'm going to share this video, how you get to it. Window which shows the speaker. That's the one when you switch from one speaker to another. But anyway, I've put the link into the chat. So if you copy that link away, you can watch it at your leisure. But it's a relatively straightforward thing. Play around with it to make sure that you do get your settings right, because it can be a little bit. As you see, my hair is appearing and disappearing. This is just something that is very difficult to overcome. But if you have sorry, yes,
sorry,
Nick.
can I just reiterate? It's not essential that you have green screen backgrounds for the colors for the timer. You can actually make sure that whatever objects or cards or books that you use, they're very easily seen. And for example, if my phone was a different color, you'd want to maybe cover it like this so that it's really easy to see.
Nick, I have this.
Yeah,
See?
brilliant. Yes, exactly.
You can do
So
this.
it's really important that whatever timing devices you use, that the speakers can see it, and make sure you pin the timer. As a speaker, you should pin the timer. And as a contest chair, you must ask before the person speaks, have you pinned the timer? Because then if somebody says, oh, I couldn't see the timer, well, they've been asked already.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, most of you will have these cards, which are not really showing because of my green screen background, which I can't turn off, but you've got the Toastmasters cards, green, yellow, and red. It comes and goes. There you are.
No.
Yeah, but if you don't use the background, then you can use cards, or you can use, be inventive and find any object that is colored appropriately and use that.
Okay. Any more questions about the actual contest, please? I don't really want to get bogged down in colors for timers and so on. That's not that important for us. Today is about how to create the meetings, getting the right people in the right positions, and making sure that everybody's on the same page.
Yeah.
Any more questions,
well,
please?
Dave Rand has said here, one more question. Does the Chief Judge share the WhatsApp messages with the votes, with the counters? Is there transparency on votes? Again, that is going to be down to the Chief Judge to decide what is the best and safest and most open way of doing it.
Yeah, in the past, what I've done is I've received all the votes, and I've sent every single message to both my counters, and we had a spreadsheet ready, and just like on a tally sheet on the Bricks and Mortar Club, one person shouted out the placings, and the other person typed in what position or what number of points they had, and then this was all overseen by the Chief Judge. Absolutely, yes. Or total
one more question.
Transparency. Yes.
One more question here from Margaret O'Donoghue. How do you deal with protests?
Just the same as you do in real life, except what you can do is quite easily get the Chief Judge will ask the Zoom master to to get all the judges into the judges' room. And then the chief judge will actually go and have a word with them. And then when they're ready, they will come out, and then the chief judge will then rule, or will then carry on with what he or she is doing. Natalia had a question.
I think I've dealt with all the questions. Oh, Damien Loftus said, will this webinar be sent out so we can review it? Yes, it will be published. Brenda Lannon, I assume you're still here, Brenda. She will be getting a link, and she will be sending that out to everybody.
Yeah. Can we take? Sorry.
Well, alternatively, we have the email addresses of all the attendees, so we can send all the attendees, but we should be making it available more generally anyway.
Yeah. Can we have a question from Natalia, please?
Yeah, what I wanted to ask, I really was struggling to get in this evening. I was trying to log in. It was asking my email, then it was asking my password. I inserted the password that I received in my email. I was trying to log in, it didn't work. I tried to reset. Then it was asking to log in. I think I managed to log in with Facebook. So I don't think I ever had that problem before, how to avoid that. And I think I even sent an email to Moira what to do, how would that become? I've not had this before. The majority of people in this meeting, I think, had no difficulty getting in, but 3 or 4 people did have the same problem as you. I don't know what the reason for it is, I'm afraid. I can only think that it's a bug in Zoom. Okay.
As I said, they did implement a security patch today. So maybe your version of your software may have been automatically updated on your device. I'm not sure.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Teresa has her hands up. Teresa Hicks.
Yes, I had that problem, and I think what needed the password they wanted wasn't the one that was sent me for this meeting, but the one that was I originally signed in to Zoom with to get my account. I think that I finally figured that out.
That's to sign into your Zoom account. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Any questions about the contest, please? It's really important we talk about the contest, so that if you've got questions, this is an opportunity for you to ask now, please. I can't see everybody's hands up, so.
This is John here. Can I ask a question, please, about the contest? When a speaker is giving their speech, am I correct in saying that everybody else can't see, that they can't see everybody else?
That's what Toastmasters International have instructed us to do. However, I've seen, for example, last week, we followed that where everybody's cameras were off. Obviously, everybody watching could see, but their cameras were off. The only cameras that were on were the speaker and the 2 timers. However, we ran a contest today, and the area director decided that they wanted to, wanted to do it differently on that. So, yeah, I guess everybody's making doing their own iterations or picking and choosing what they want. I think that it's important to follow the rules from TI, because I'm hoping that our contestants get to the district final, where I believe that will be implemented, and I believe that it's in the long run for the benefit of them.
Yes, just to argue against that, from the point of view of the traditional meeting, where the speaker got to see his audience, his or her audience in front of them, and probably perform better or worse depending on the reaction perhaps from the audience. By having everybody able to see the speaker, it would have the same effect. What do you think?
John, I would agree with you wholeheartedly. However, it is the rule from Toastmasters International. If we follow the rules, which we are supposed to do without question, then we have to do it. I would suggest that you make your feelings known to Toastmasters International.
I actually question those rules, and it's the equivalent of asking a speaker to speak and having the audience not being able to say anything, and the contestant having a bag over their heads.
Yeah.
but if you practice, as I you know, for example, with with my contest, I made sure that we coached our contestants and they practiced. And when you do, you know, the more you practice, the better you get, because you're not looking at the audience, you're looking at the camera.
Okay, thank you for that. And as a complete newcomer to Zoom, some of this is slightly over my head, and I hope you'll understand that. But I noticed Moira's illustration of her control panel, it was different to the one that I'm looking at. So I find it difficult to understand how is the meeting controlled, and how is the participant muted, and how is the speaker highlighted online.
I'm not quite sure that I understand the problem, because of course I couldn't see your screen. I don't know why you were seeing a different, why you see a different screen.
Okay, it's not exactly the screen. Sorry, it's my terminology. It's the control at the bottom of the screen.
Okay, you would not see the breakout rooms icon, because only the host has that. So if you set up a meeting with you as a host, you will see the breakout rooms and you can play around with them, but you have to be the host.
Okay, that explains that. Thank you.
Can I take a question from the chat, please? We've got a question from Gerard Fenner, where he says that I suggested a WhatsApp group for judges. Does a chief judge have to set up a WhatsApp group for the judges for the specific contest? Actually, what happens is that because we've been doing this a number of times, I believe I've been involved in 10 contests since February. So what I've got is a master spreadsheet. I've got everybody's contact details. It's easy for me to import them into my contacts folder and create the WhatsApp groups for everybody. As long as somebody gives me an email address, a name, and a telephone number, I can create that for them when you know, we are running the Zoom for a particular contest.
Okay, any other questions? In which case, I think we can bring this session to a close. Thank you all very, very much for attending. I hope you found this useful. I'm quite happy to share my email address if any of you wish to get in touch with me offline. You're very welcome. It's a simple address. It's toastmasters@moiraobrien.com.
Moira, just before you finish, may I do a shameless piece of?
Oh, please do. If I could get out of this virtual background, I would have been doing exactly what you're going to do.
Before the adverts, can I just mention that you can save the chat. If you're on a PC or a laptop, you can go where the chat is, and on the right-hand side near the bottom, there's 3 dots, and you can click on it and save chat, and that'll save it to your computer. All right. Thank you. Sorry, Paul.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. I'm aware that there are 54 participants still here, and I'm an area director in Division A, and I have a contest to run on the 22nd of April, and I calculated today that there are 27 roles to be filled in order to run that contest, with the degree of care that Nick runs contests, meaning that every single role has a reserve person. There will be a reserve contest chair, reserve judges, the whole lot. So I'd be terribly grateful for volunteers, because there is no way that Area 3 will be able to come up with 27 roll holders. And anyway, I want all the judges to be from outside the area. So I'd be very grateful. I'll put my email address in the chat. And if any of you would like to contact me, I would be very grateful. And we could have a conversation about what role you'd like to play and what the preparation for playing that role will be. Just
Great.
once.
Thanks, Paul. Sorry, Paul. Yeah.
Oh, that's
you
fine.
put the details in there, the date, the time, and so on. That'll be brilliant. I just wanted to say on behalf of Moira, myself, on behalf of the district leadership team, thank you. And thank you to the DLT for allowing us the opportunity to do this for you. One of the key things is that we're happy to serve the district so that you can have your contests. It's really important we do this because you don't know when these skills are going to be needed again. So with that, I'm going to ask Moira to shut the recording down, please.